The boys are back. Welcome to the Barbershop. With Marcus Trufant, here's Terry Holloman.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Barbershop Show, our first episode back. This is the Barbershop. What are we calling this? True reboot, rebrand, rewind,
rebrand. Just good to be back, man. We can call it whatever we want. It don't matter to me, but we back.
We are
baby.
Back. And matter of fact, we back and in style, man. The Seattle Seahawks have blessed us. We're doing the first episode here at the VMAX, Seattle Seahawks headquarters. What does it feel like for you to be back in here? First of all, did you ever get a chance to even play in here?
Oh yeah, man. I'm not that far removed here. I see what you're trying to slide in right there. But yeah, no, man. I got a lot of practice here, a lot of games here, man. Spent a lot of time here, and this place is beautiful, man. You get spoiled when you come here. My last year, I tried to travel across the country and try out for a team in Jacksonville down there. And they do play a little bit of football down there. Not much.
A little bit.
But a little bit. And it's just a totally different world, man. After you come to this place, it's just one of those situations. You got the water right there. You got everything you want. It's beautiful. Yeah,
this is a first-class operation here. And again, shout out to the Seahawks for letting us be here and be a part of this. It's good when you got Seahawk legends along with you that let you do things like this. So not only does Marcus Trufant here with us today, we have another special guest for our very first episode. Very fortunate to have Lofa Tatupu, Seattle Seahawks legend, Pro Bowler, All-Pro linebacker. Did a lot of stuff other than play football for the Seahawks. He was a coach as well, but thank you for joining us here today, Loaf.
Absolutely, fellas. Yeah, I played here too, by the way.
Yeah, I was about to say, did you
a little bit?
Yeah, no, good memories here. Logistically, there's some things I would have done differently, like the meeting rooms and then like the stairs.
What, is this too far away or what? What's the deal?
Well, just not the most efficient path.
Oh, okay.
So yes, too far.
So maybe we should set up a meeting with you and John Schneider.
They please everybody. Now, that's funny.
It seems like they built it really well. I don't know if they can move the things now. But.
So have you been in this building recently? Because I know they revamped a lot of things, and there was a little bit of controversy for a little while about the former players that got a lot, right? That got their pictures taken off the wall. And they recently put up some new pictures, and you guys got a chance to see them. I think they have a hallway here now that has a picture of all the Seahawk wins that took place here. So did you see that on the way in? Yeah,
we visited that. We were talking about it, all the pictures. I mean, it's just cool. It brought back all the memories, right, of all those wins.
Yeah, and you guys are on there, but not necessarily cool as memories. You get to look up and see yourself on there.
Yeah, I definitely get to see yourself. I will most definitely be taking some pictures. I'm still like in the phase. My son is only 9, right? So he missed my whole career. Right. And sometimes when he's watching highlights and stuff like that, he sees dad out there doing good. And then sometimes he sees me out there getting toasted, right? But so I'm still working on my cool dad face. So I'm going to show him some pictures and walk in and be like, yeah, dad used to be that guy. So I got to bring a little proof with that nowadays.
So Loaf, you, again, we talked about you had an illustrious career. How many years did you play in Seattle?
6.
6 years?
Yep.
Okay. But you also had some very good years. You were All-Pro, Pro Bowl. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, just when you're on a great team and you have success, some individuals get recognized. We went to a Pro Bowl together, me and Marcus, a couple other guys too, Walt Jones, always out there. But it's, firm believer, if we weren't winning, those things don't really happen. It's rare. Like you got to be a Hall of Famer like Walt or Tez, right? Which like that, Tez winning player of the year on a 2-4 team, to me, is the most iconic thing that's ever happened, because you have to do so much and be such a problem to opposing offenses to get that kind of recognition. Oh, yeah. And so, but yeah.
So for everybody that's out there that's watching this that might not know what he's talking about the iconic, legendary defensive tackle, Cortez Kennedy. Now, what he means by that is at one point the Seahawks were 2-14, right? Yep. Not only were they 2-14, but Cortez Kennedy is a defensive lineman. So I can't even remember when was the last person that was a defensive lineman, nevertheless on a 2-14 team, that made the defensive player of the year in the NFL. I can't recall. Maybe was it Aaron Donald? Maybe? Yeah. And he was a freak of nature.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's elite company that he's in.
So, by the way, I was just catching that little humble vibe he was doing, like, oh, it takes a great team to be a Pro Bowler. Bro, you was a Pro Bowler.
Lofa was that guy.
Man.
But, I mean, it doesn't no one gets there alone.
Of course, it's a team sport, but
I think in today's day and age, especially because I got kids, coach some of their teams, and everyone's just worried about stats.
Right.
I didn't give a shit about stats.
Okay.
And Marcus can attest to it. Like, did we win? Okay. Now, if you want, you can look at the stats, but it was always about winning and chasing championships, man, chasing banners. Like, that's all I wanted to do.
I'll step in and give Lofa his flowers if he's not going to do it for himself, man. Being a defensive back, there is a couple groups that are your best friends on the field, right? Starts with the D lineman. I always say the best coverage you can have is a sack, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you got your linebackers, and they save us little guys on the back, of course, in the run game and all this kind of stuff. Actually, this is a fun fact. I've had many injuries in my career, right? One of my injuries is from this gentleman to my left.
Oh, spill it.
We used to call it friendly fire, right? And it's one of those situations to where, I'm kind of holding on for dear life, kind of trying to get a guy to the ground. Lofa, of course, being the enthusiastic player that he was getting to the ball and inadvertently or accidentally brought some of that energy to me, and it hit me in my back and ended up broke my back.
Spinal?
Fractured.
Spinal?
Fractured transverse process. That's a term.
Wait, this really happened?
This really happened.
You didn't know you broke Trufon's back?
No.
This is things we don't really talk about. And I wasn't going to come to Lofa and be like, Lofa, you got to slow down. I don't want you playing this hard. So, I took it on the chin, but I wasn't out for that long. It sounds really bad, but I had a minor fracture in my back. I tell people I broke my back, and they're like, oh, my God, right? But stuff like that happens all the time. I say all that to say that Lofa was everywhere all the time. And you talk about football guys and people that know football inside and out, just like you're talking about Cortez Kennedy, you're talking about Aaron Donald. You're like a encyclopedia, bro. You know things inside and out, and that's why I really rock with you on the field because you were a man of your craft. You went out and you made it happen, and you did well, man. You stole a couple interceptions from me. I tell you that all the time.
That is true.
All good though, but yeah, this dude is definitely the guy, and I just wanted you. To make sure I give you your flowers. So yes.
It means a lot to me, brother. I just, for a guy like me to make it to where I made it, I had to be a student of the game. And so since the time I knew what a football was, most kids have a blankie, I had a football. Mm-hmm. That's what I went to bed with. Yeah. And I loved it. I loved what I did. And the teammates that I had, my brothers, that's what it was all about to me.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. You said you were a student of the game. Most kids had little toys and whatnot. You had a football. Let's talk about your upbringing a little bit. You had football, kind of like me, from birth. Like, my dad played football, and that's all I knew from the very beginning. Your dad was a football player. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so my dad, for those of you who don't know, 14-year NFL veteran, Lofa Tatupu, played for the Patriots 13 and 1 year for the Rams.
Mosey T.
And, and he was just great at football. I don't know if he necessarily loved it. He did. He was a competitor, but baseball was his thing, and he was kind of trying to steer me in that direction. And I just told him from a very early age, I was like, I'm good at baseball. I was better at baseball, but I love football. And even though I was not one of the better kids growing up, I was out there getting my ass kicked. Right? I'm honest.
Really?
Oh. And
real talk. I was getting my ass kicked.
And but I still love showing up and getting better and just slowly, steadily putting in more time. Watching football. I was obsessed with the sport. And so when a lot of kids were out or playing, baseball or out, if it wasn't football, I wasn't going outside.
Right.
I was inside watching reruns of football games and trying to take away anything I could. What makes this guy special? What at every position. So just football enthusiast, I guess is the way you would put it. And then just slowly over time, the hard work shows up, it gets rewarded, right?
Mm-hmm. But you played football, so most of the time growing up, you were on the East Coast, right?
Yeah.
So what was that like? First of all, a couple of things I need to know. So what was it like growing up on the East Coast playing football? Because it's obviously a lot different than it is on the West Coast. In my opinion, I would think, I would imagine.
Yeah.
And then second of all, just having just the Polynesian culture that you come from, it's probably not really prevalent over there on the East Coast at all.
Yeah. So football over there, it's huge. Like, you know, it's a way of life. It's one of our sports. Now, not a ton of guys get recruited out of there or go on from there, but because it's mainly like baseball, basketball, lacrosse is huge out there. But so it was from the time we all played football, like from a very young age. And then being not the only, like the other two were like my sister and my dad. The other Polynesians.
I was related to all the Polynesians.
Yeah. And so my dad, he was still trying to assimilate to, you know, American culture, right? Mm-hmm. Like, cause he born in Samoa and then grew up in Hawaii, got there when he was 5. And then he just kept going east, like went to college at SC and then got drafted by the Patriots. So he was more trying to, you know, Americanize us, like get us to the customs over here. And but with that, like still taught all the lessons of, you know, just respect. The pillars of, you know, the Samoan culture, Polynesian culture is just respect is huge, right? Family. So never had friends, just had family.
Yeah.
We either rock with you or we don't.
Yeah. Well, I know.
And,
I know.
And then the toughness aspect, that was huge to me. Like I was representing for my culture, right?
For sure. You've done a good job representing for it as well.
Thank you.
Pretty good. I'll just add, man, just thinking about that, man, and kind of, I don't know if it's like a generational thing. I guess I really couldn't say that because we're a little bit older. I know we were talking about that earlier. You asked me if I dyed my hair. I said, yeah, right. So I'm, of course, I'm getting a little older, but just talking through like that underdog type of role, right? And nowadays with the kids and where they're at, and in the sports world, and trying to I guess grow, man, and further your career, and you always have to be the top guy. And we can get into everything. I know this could go down the rabbit hole, but you're talking about transferring and the exposure and all that. Things are a little bit different now. And when we were trying to really make it happen, man, and just trying to make a name for yourself was like almost like it was secondary, or at least for me, right? You went out there and you played for the love of the game, so I can totally understand what you're talking about, Loaf. You know, I loved all sports too. Of course, I used to love basketball. Okay in basketball. I talk more about basketball, but I was the defense first guy, right? But track, I mean, in baseball, I love baseball too, but there was just something about football, man, and it really worked for me, and it helped me come out my shell, helped me grow up, right? And it just gave me that confidence. So, yeah, man, it was, yeah.
Well, you touched on something, True, and I kind of want to get both of your opinions on this as two guys that made it to the most upper echelon when it comes to professional sports, period. You were both professionals. You had storied, long careers. Looking at youth sports right now, and again, coming from your perspective as professional athletes, but more importantly as fathers, what do you feel about the state of youth football right now when it comes to not just high school football, but even college football, some of the stuff that's going on with the NIL stuff and the transfer portal? How do you feel about that?
Do you want to take that one first?
I'll take a quick swing at it because I know your answer is going to be much deeper and better than mine. That could go a little nasty on that, so y'all be nice. But yeah, I like the NIL, man, just for the fact that it gives the players, you know, an opportunity to steal some of the money away from the universities, because the universities have been making money for a long time off the players' back, and all they would say, of course, is you get your education and all this kind of stuff, and it didn't really add up. So I think that's a good look. And now I know there's a bunch of rules around it that got things kind of crazy right now, and it's really, I don't think it's fair. And talking to the smaller schools like my guys over in Pullman, over in Washington State, and it's hard to compete with these different schools that have all this money, right? So it has to be a way to kind of even this thing up. I don't know how or where, but it's just one of those things, man. But my son is kind of into football. I mean, he's playing flag right now, and I want him.
Does he express like, Dad, I love this, like, because you know that at certain points you have to love it, right?
Yes. Yeah. Not quite yet. He's in to the highlights, watching highlights and YouTube and stuff like that. I talked about that. But he's really into it, and I was involved in it. I was the defensive coordinator of the flag football team. Made it to the championship. to the championship. And it's a Seahawks flag, right? And they do this here locally, so that's pretty cool. But he is growing up, though. I can see the maturity as far as learning to be a teammate, learning how to share, and learning how to be accountable, man, and show up for somebody else, right? Yeah. So there's all these different things from youth sports that I think helps kids. It helped me, and I just think we need more of it.
Yeah, absolutely. To me, those are the most important lessons that I got from football: teamwork, responsibilities. And again, it's more than just X's and O's and making plays on the field. But Loaf, NIL, transfer portals, all that stuff.
I'm one of the first to use the transfer portal.
Oh, so speak on that.
I have to tread carefully, right? But so I didn't get recruited out of high school. I went to Maine with my only scholarship to play linebacker. I had a couple other offers. They wanted me to play quarterback. I didn't see any.
I wanted to touch on that too. I'm glad you spoke on it. But let's put a pin in that and then come back. Put a pin in the quarterback. Let's come back.
So we're coming back to that?
We're going to come back to that. Come on.
I just had a very clear vision of my future. And even at 18, I said, if I'm going to make it, I'm going to play linebacker. So Maine was the only one that offered me. I asked all the others if I could play linebacker. They were like, they didn't even know I played defense. And I was like, okay, this is why you guys are not good. Right? But so I went up there and I was like third, buried on the depth chart. Mm-hmm. After thinking I was too good for 1AA, I go up there and get humbled real quick. Like, yeah, you're the third string Mike. And I was like, damn. Like, thought I was going to start, right? Like all these kids do.
Everybody.
So just put in the work and keep going. And then finally I get my opportunity, like 6th, 7th game, and I, with no reps, but luckily I was paying attention in the meeting room, watching film, because I was really scout team linebacker, right, for our first string offense. I went out there and I played well, made the most of my opportunity, right? Make the reps count. Don't count the reps, make them count. And I slowly got more playing time. And by the end of the season, I was starting and not coming off the field. And so I just, with that in mind, I was like, all right, I want to go to the NFL. I don't think it's going to happen here. Like, because I saw guys that were better than me not getting the opportunity.
Right.
And so I put into the request to transfer, and I was supposed to be an Oregon Duck, believe it or not.
Thank God that didn't work out.
Yeah. But you know, Pete Carroll, I think you guys know who he is.
Yeah, he might have been in this building once or twice.
He, my tape landed over there, and they looked at it, and they found out I was going to be a Duck, and they were like, because the Ducks were on top at that point.
Yeah.
Right? Harrington, all those guys, the receivers. And I got one of the last 2 scholarships, and then I went back to the bottom of the depth chart, right? Mm-hmm. Just kept, getting better and chipping away. And that's like, I share this because when I talk to kids these days, all they ever say, All-American, Pro Bowl, all that stuff, but they don't tell the whole journey of like how far down I was and just kept climbing.
Yeah.
So I love the NIL and the portal for that. But if you're running from competition, you're wrong.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest, lesson that they need to know from this is, and I always tell, it's up to the kid. This is their future.
Right.
Like, you can only equip them with the best information to hope they make an informed decision. But at the end of the day, they have to know, and whatever your gut tells you, you got to do. And because they have to live with it.
Right.
Whether it works out or not.
Yeah.
But I love, because there's a lot of guys that we have teammates, all of us, that they were great. One injury kept them from making the league. Right?
Yep.
And so 100%. I do like that. And then in regards to the schools, like there's opportunity in tough times. And, if I was one of the big schools with a lot of money, get a GM.
Oh, is that the move? This is your advice to the schools out there.
You could
get a general manager to run things.
You could do that, or you could pay the wrong kids over and over and over and keep losing and not getting results.
That's true.
Or you could pay one guy, and I'm not saying you got to give him, the money that NFL GMs are making.
Right.
But if they could find talent for you and like guys that are hungry, right?
Yeah.
Then
yeah. And in line with what you're saying, I mean, I'm looking at the landscape of it right now, and I'm seeing these kids that end up from year to year transferring from school to school not because necessarily the opportunities on the field are better. And to me, and I'm super old school. Like I said, I'm looking at the opportunities on the field. Like, can I have a better opportunity to get on the field and transition to the next level if I move to this school? But a lot of times that's not the case with these kids nowadays. They're moving because my deal will get better if I go to this school. And you'll see a kid that'll go to 3 or 4 different schools. You good with that?
It's up to the kid. And, like even as much as it hurts me to say, I hope I've taught my kid better.
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather you facing, even if you're not starting, facing the best players. Because if your dream's the NFL and you're on a national championship team and maybe you're just getting a little playing time, every practice rep you're getting better against the best. Or you could go be the man somewhere else, have all the records, and then you get to the league, you're like, damn,
wake-up call.
This is way bigger of a transition than the guys I was just playing against. See, I left SC, started as a rookie, right? Had to earn it. I was behind Cootie and Kaz, right? But just with the reps and the offseason, studying the playbook, chipped away and got my opportunity. And so that's no different there. But it was a different gap for me when everybody sees the success I had as a rookie because of great teammates, like True and the boys, but also because I went against the best. Yeah. Like we went to 2 straight national titles. They went to a 3rd without me the next year. Yeah. So it was just always sharpening that sword, right?
I heard that. Let's go back to the pen. The pen of you playing quarterback.
Oh.
Okay. I need to figure this out. Yeah. I need to figure this out.
I have a great arm.
How does a guy that's a linebacker, an all-pro linebacker, play quarterback at the same time? Like I'm assuming you played both positions in high school.
Yep.
So you line up on defense in one series. You out there smacking cats. And then the next one you line up taking snaps on this. Tell me about this, man.
Well, I mean, think about what that does to a defense or that you're going against, right? Like,
I got to go tackle this dude.
Yeah, they see me at quarterback now, right? They're like, wait, that's the same guy that just smoked me now. The tough kids are trying to hit you back.
The get back. That's what I was going to say.
But some just aren't built like that. And so, my dad, I had to play quarterback. One of my best friends, he chased hoop dreams, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody do what you love. He loved hoops. And he could have made it, man. Like 6'2", cannon for an arm, could run too. But so I stepped up. I was in the rotation, and I think I only got the job because I could remember the play. Like I had a good arm.
I'm a quarterback by default.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much how it came down to it. But we were just a very conservative offense, hand it off, pound the rock, and play defense. And
did you throw the ball?
Like maybe 8 to 10 times a game. Right?
It's not bad.
But it was enough for someone, some quarterback coach at 2 or 3 different universities to see it and hey, I can make this kid.
I can work with that. I can work with that.
Tools, yeah.
That's funny, bro. But
what did you do on offense?
I played running back.
Oh.
And I don't say this much, but I was all world.
Oh, right? You don't say.
I was pretty good. I thought I was going to play offense in college.
I don't know.
Okay.
Right. So
when they recruited you, you thought they said we want you at Wazoo. Did you know you were going to be D, or you thought you were going?
No, they were recruiting me to play defensive back, but how they got around it was like, yeah, we'll give you a try at offense, and as close as I got was doing punt returns, right? And I only did that a little bit, but
you took one to the house. I remember seeing. So did you take? Did you go? Did you?
I went close. I don't got very good hands, man. So I used to I would do the one hopper, man, let the ball hit the ground and catch it off the ground and do stuff like that. But playing offense in high school, it just was so natural, right? Mm-hmm. I did it since I was a little boy. I played quarterback in the 5th grade. I know, and I probably threw the ball.
Count?
No, it doesn't count on the skill side, but as far as the learning side and growing up, man, and having to be a leader and do all this kind of stuff, I think it played a big role, man, in just my growth in the sport. But playing running back, man, it was dope, man. And just like we was talking about off camera, Barry Sanders was my guy, right? So I thought I was a little Barry. I was a small guy, shake, juke, and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of did my thing, man. But it switched over to the dark side, and that's where I really felt comfortable, man, and really leaned into it.
That glimmer in his eye. Yeah, you talked about running back. Wait, do you think you could have made it to the league at running back?
I don't think I would have had any type of longevity. I could have did it just because you get comfortable, of course, the more you do it, right? And after I stopped doing it, I used to feel uncomfortable with the ball, right? Yeah. But playing running back in the league could have been tough. But I think I could have did it, though.
It's a beating. Right. You take a beating at that position. For sure.
And that's what I said. I probably wouldn't have played very long. No. Yeah.
So I want to shift gears on us real quick, and I'm going to talk about a subject that might be a little touchy for both of you guys. But I think us being here in this environment is very important for us to talk about it. Now, you guys might not be able to see it, but up on the wall here, they have a big banner, Super Bowl champions. The Seattle Seahawks were Super Bowl champions in 2013.
Woo!
Hell yeah.
But there's a Super Bowl that they don't like to talk about. Super Bowl 40? Seahawks versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Both of you guys played in that game. There's a lot of controversy associated with. I'm going to let whichever one of you wants to start it off talk about that game and some of the controversies that were taking place. And if you miss any of the controversies, don't worry, I'll be here to help you remember them. Yes, that's what I'm here for.
True, take us away.
Well, I'm going to start with something that's not even so much involved with the game itself, right? This is the aftermath of the Super Bowl.
Yes.
This great thing has happened. Of course, it was great for me personally, great for the organization, making it to the Super Bowl. It was the first in the franchise history, but that offseason and watching all those Super Bowl commercials and me being the highlight of the guy that is getting beat deep and Hines Ward catching the double pass from Antoine Randall L. over
with the little hop.
and over and over again.
You see them do the little hop?
Man, it's still tough to watch to this day.
I didn't mean to laugh. I wasn't laughing hard. Was I? I'm sorry.
I see it on YouTube now. It's still there. And if they talk about that Super Bowl, that's like the first thing you see. And I'm like struggling to like really to get there, man. And like to be honest,
You shouldn't even been there.
right.
He shouldn't have been.
I shouldn't have been there, man. And I know guys like in the league, like after that, I seen guys that would stop on purpose if like
I don't want to be in the picture.
Yeah. And this didn't happen, but if a safety came down and he was supposed to be back, and of course the coaches, all the coaches want you to finish through the ball and make sure you get there. Guys would just stop because they don't want to be in that frame. I wasn't there yet. I was still in the mindset, oh man, I got to hustle. I got to try to get there. And I'm like chasing. So it looks bad, man. And that is ingrained in my brain. That played for the whole off season. So that was a rough off season for me, man. And that's,
I'm just going to be honest. I was not even going to mention that part.
well,
I'm glad you did. You've obviously gone.
I'm a man and I'm going to stand on it.
You've gone to therapy
Right.
and counseling and got that off your chest.
And I'm not even throwing nobody under the bus. There's people I can talk about. But a quick Marquand Manuel always told me, and he was playing safety at the time, but he got hurt. And he was like, True, I apologize. I was hurt in the game. We couldn't do this, X, Y, Z. And I got a little comfort from that, man, but it was a tough off season, man. It's still tough now.
Kenny Hamlin was hurt too, wasn't he?
Kenny Hamlin was hurt as well.
Yeah, so you guys were a little down.
Yeah, you weren't even supposed to be there though. Like you,
everybody don't know that who's watching that on TV, though.
But your peers do.
The peers know,
because I guarantee you, like other coaches that review it, they're like, "Damn, look at this dog! Like
he's going. He
just went probably 110 yards from the backside and gave max effort." I know. I thought that was my perspective.
I'm lucky it really wasn't no social media then, though, because tore your ass
I
seen it. I know. I seen it on commercials, but it really didn't run like that. It didn't get legs like that. But yeah, man, that was just something I was like, always like, damn, man, it wasn't even me. But it's like, I'm on those Super Bowl videos, though. You get the DVD, that you get the tape, and you get a poster and all that. I'm all over that, man. The Hines Ward is celebrating, doing his thing.
I bet you Hines Ward, wherever he at right now, he got a crib.
Yep.
That got that picture hanging
that
like
poster
above the fireplace, and his kids and grandkids. I'm sorry, man, but they gonna be. That's an incredible picture, Grandpa. Who is that back there running after you?
Man, look like he's struggling back there.
You toasted him, but no, it wasn't a toast. Okay, so we got that out the way.
Okay,
now let's talk about the rest of the controversy. Loaf, from your perspective, tell us about that game.
I mean, in the moment, yeah, there was some bullshit going on.
Yeah.
The one that there's so many. I guess start with the one that was most vivid in my mind when they didn't cross the goal line.
Yes, Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah, and then
that was his rookie year, if I remember correct. It was
the
second year. All right,
and then stretched out across, and the ref he's right there and sees it, and he just throws his hands up, and I was like, "There's no way."
Yeah.
And then I was like, "They're gonna review it." But it was like the first year of irrefutable, which I don't even know what that means. But
nobody knows what it means.
Like, I'm guessing you can't go back on it.
Yeah.
And so they just called it as they saw it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, even Ben was over on the sides like, I didn't get in, but we're gonna go for it on fourth. Like the Steelers were like, yeah,
getting ready to go.
That shit wasn't across.
Right.
But then, like, I could see how the push off and stuff, or the D-Jack, they were tussling.
So there was a controversial tic-tacky. You see them, they'll call it tic-tacky.
Yeah.
But they might not even, in today's game, they probably wouldn't even call that,
With
right?
the contact from the defender, I just didn't see why, because he was holding him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't see why that was called. But either way, regardless, like the other one, P-Dub had like a 45-yard, Peter Wark had like a 45-yard punt return. They called all the way back. And I was like, that was bullshit.
Yeah.
The other one that really pissed me off was when Haas threw a strike down to the 2.
Jeremy Stevens? Yep.
And it was like, all right, now we take the lead and now we beat the shit out of these guys. That's how we always felt, right? Anytime we were trailing or anything, just fighting. And that got called back because they called a hold on Locke.
Right. Sean Locklear got called for a holding penalty, which negated this 1st and goal from the 1-yard line.
Yeah. And Clark Hagens and Casey Hampton, great players, they were both offsides.
Mm-hmm.
So we thought the flag was offsides.
Yes.
And so we're just sitting there like, what is going on? And even the hold, like, he went around and he fell down.
Right.
And they threw the flag. But then, yeah, I guess that was the second one that pissed me off the most. The first one was when Matt Hasselbeck, he threw a pick, and he made one of the most beautiful tackles I had ever seen.
Right.
Like,
especially from a quarterback, right?
Yeah, I forgot about that one.
In the biggest game, Hasselbeck ran down there, ran through a defender, a little low at the thigh board, right?
Right.
And took out, that should have been a touchdown. Like, in my mind, I was like, damn, they're going to score. And Haas just comes out of nowhere and smokes the guy. Get another flag. And
for they call it low block?
Yeah, low block. And I was like, I'm pretty sure you're not blocking the guy he's trying to tackle.
He's trying to tackle, right.
So, all these factored in, but I think the toughest part was we were always one of the least penalized teams. And so, like, in my mind, right after the game, I'm like just trying to replay everything and say, like, was the most disciplined team the last 4 years, because we led the league 2 out of the 4 years. Did we really, was a moment too big, and did we lose our shit on the national stage, like piss down our legs?
Right.
And no, like when you go back and review it, that's why it's really hard to watch for me anyways, or I refuse to watch it.
Yeah.
Is we were still at our best,
right.
The biggest moment, but things we could not control played a part in it. And like, we're always taught you got to let that shit go.
Right.
But how do you dreamed about this game since you were 7. First time you put that helmet on, strap the cleats up, and somebody else not being at their best affected our outcome. Yeah. That was like what was toughest to grapple with.
And so I know from my perspective of somebody who's just a fan who watched and observed that, it was pretty obvious and pretty blatant to me. And then afterwards, I understand that, they made some public statements. But true, I think you told me that somebody actually had to come and address the team.
I don't know if they had to, T, but they did. We was in that meeting room across the hallway over there, and it was 2 referees, I believe, right?
It was Bill Levy for sure.
Yep.
And I think there was another one that worked the game with.
And they came here and gave us the official apology. I'm not really sure about the science behind that and what that was going to do for either side, right? Because to me, that just makes them look worse. I guess if you admit it, I guess you're standing on your decision or whatever. But you come into a situation to where we've lost the game, and of course we feel terrible, right? And you come in and be like, yeah, we missed some calls and we really want to apologize to you guys. And I think the room was like silent, right? I don't even know if anybody said or did anything. It was crazy, but yeah, man, it's just tough to lose a game in that way. And for me, I've always felt like the game, at least from my perspective, wasn't our best game. Yeah, we were in the game, and that's how it goes sometimes, and you're in a dogfight, and you're kind of going back and forth. But I just know personally, I felt like I could have played a lot better, right? And things could have been a little bit different. Of course, a bunch of respect. Of course, the Hines Ward and all those guys. But our defense was playing well that year, man, and we were doing a lot of things. I know we had some interceptions that game, some turnovers and stuff like that, but we just couldn't seem to get over the hump and even play through the referees. I know they taught us that all the time, that you can't really worry about the refs. You got to play through them. And we just didn't make those plays that we really needed to get over the top. And it was like the odds were against us anyway. It was like a home game for Pittsburgh. Like I said, I went back with my son and watched, and it's yellow everywhere in the stadium. Yeah. It's not like the days of now where the 12s come in and they take over. Absolutely. It was a Pittsburgh home game, and we were in Detroit, right? But, yeah, man, the refs came back and they gave us that apology, and I don't think it did anything but pour salt into the wound, man. Yeah. And especially for the community, man. There's still people that talk about it to this day. All that game, I hate Pittsburgh and all that kind of stuff when you go around and you talk to fans. So it's just tough. And I know they'll never forget it, right? I'm trying to forget, but again, I keep seeing that damn commercial.
It's
bro,
tough. You're going to see that. Unfortunately, there's some things. Yeah, unfortunately, like there's some things, and I'm this is just being, just keeping it 100. There's some things that are associated with the NFL and with football that you'll see forever. Like we're forever going to see Marshawn Lynch jumping across the goal line, doing this number, right? You're going to always see that. There's images you'll always see, like Tom Brady after he wins the first Super Bowl. You're always going to see that. You're always going to see Hines Ward doing that skip, man. You're always going to see him do that clutch.
I made the history book.
You're historical, but here's the thing, though. It doesn't take away from 10 years of a lucrative, incredible career that you had here in Seattle.
That's a good friend, T. I appreciate you trying to build me up when I'm feeling a little down, man.
Listen, man.
I can appreciate that.
I've been at the bottom of they say everybody gets their turn in the barrel, right? I've been in the barrel. So, again, so the apology comes in. It doesn't make anything better. Is that something eventually that you have to learn to let go of?
Absolutely. I'm just speaking personally. Like, I was very pissed off, right? Very forgiving person, but
again, just to piggyback
not that
on
day
that,
though.
because and people don't really appreciate it because you mentioned it a minute ago that this is a moment that you dream about from the time you first put on your football cleats at like 5, 6, 7 years old. That one day I could play in the Super Bowl, and people don't understand what it takes to get to that point, and not just to get to that point, but that moment is so fleeting that most people will never, ever get the chance to do it. And once you get a chance to do it, it is so much harder to do it again. So you're probably sitting there in the locker room like, we made it to the Super Bowl. How hard was it for us to get here in the first place? We got to do it again?
17 years. Is how long I waited to get to that game. Mm-hmm. I dreamed about that game for 17 years. And to be just pretty much told, nah, it's just not your time. And for the wrong reasons.
Right.
Not like anything we did, right? Because even with all those calls, like, you're supposed to get blown out. Like, you should be down 3, 4 touchdowns, 4 scores. It was 21-10. Like, that's how it ended. And that was even more frustrating. But, like, you make peace with it that there was literally nothing we could do. And we just sound bitter if we're still holding on to it, right? And so it was tough to hear them, like, big man, and, big ups to him, R.I.P. Bill Levy, first of all, because, I'm not going to sit here and bash someone that can't defend themselves. Right. I would have really rather he just said, I called it how I saw it. And I could have been like, hey, man, Bill, I get it.
Right.
And no one perfect.
Things happen on the field. Right.
Right. We all been there.
Right.
But like you said, when you factor in how long you've been, and like, the odds of going back are not in your favor.
Right.
It's tough, man. Yeah. You must release and let go of it, or it'll just consume you.
Yeah. True. Any last thoughts on it before we put it to bed? Because we're going to put it to bed right here today. We're going to put the controversy that is associated with Super Bowl 40 and the Seahawks, we're going to lay it to rest here today in the VMAG. True.
I'm good with it. As good as I can be, because if I'm being honest, like I said, I went
and we
back
hope you being honest.
and I watched some of the highlights just to get re-familiar with the game, right? And I felt a little way at the end of the game. The clock is all zeros, man, and everybody's running on the field, and I'm looking at me like I'm watching me. I go up to Troy Polamalu, man, and we shake hands and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, I could have had a Super Bowl ring, man. And I said that to my son, and he, of course, is not even paying attention to me, right? but I'm like, man, I really could be sitting here and I could have a Super Bowl ring, right? And it's just that. It's an opportunity. It's hard as hell to get, and if you don't get it, if you don't take advantage of that opportunity, you might not get it again. There's a couple chosen people out there that got a bunch of them, but it doesn't happen like that for everybody. So,
does not.
Yep. I'm trying to put it to bed, T.
Right.
I know that I might have opened up a wound a little bit, but that's what friends are for, right?
That's what we hear.
Been talking through it with you guys. I feel better, man. I feel a little bit better.
Get that kind of therapy here in the barbershop, man. We just put it to bed. One thing I will say again as we close this thing out, that portion is that I just remember seeing as a fan, and I want to ask you. I'm not your opinion, but I just want to hear you chime in on this. That watching that game, it felt like it was the Jerome Bettis show. Like they were setting everything up for Jerome Bettis to have this moment. You know, the bus is he's had this storied career, and this is going to be his opportunity to finally pull one out. And then a lot of people were saying, and they still say it to this day, that the NFL is rigged. That some of these games are rigged. They're staged. They're this, that, and the third. Speak on that. I mean, I know it's dumb for me to say as a football player because I know the answer, but I want you guys to tell the people out there. Football, NFL, rigged? Please explain the ridiculousness of that.
I don't see it. I don't know if they had the script back then. I know a lot of people talking about that, but I mean, it's a cool story, right?
It's a cool story.
Well, no. I'm saying for the bus and everything that he was doing, and him kind of riding off into the sunset with a Super Bowl win and all that kind of stuff. It's a cool story. And the Seahawks, we at that time were kind of like this underdog team from all the way on the West Coast that really didn't play football, right? So the story wasn't as popular. So that's where you get the people that chime in and talk about, okay, it's rigged and all that kind of stuff. But I don't buy it.
Yeah, social media wasn't around, right? So I don't see it playing like into the narrative of like we want this team to win, and I think that gets spun out now because of the access to the media and the information, and like of course everybody's complaining when a call goes against their team, and then in favor of a team, but I don't believe it's rigged. Even that game, like, did it make for a cool story? Like True said, yeah. It's one of the all-time greats. The bus, but not rigged. Nah.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's impossible, in my opinion, to rig a football game when you got players that are running fast and competing hard. You got full-on competitors. You guys know everybody that's in that locker room. To get there, you have to be a full-on competitor. So, nobody, in my opinion, is going to go out there and purposely take a L on the field. Not just because people are watching, but because I'm a warrior, man. I didn't come out here to let somebody else beat me or show me up. And I know both of you guys are like that. And so probably a lot of people you play with are like that. So I, for one, definitely don't think the games are rigged unless you're talking about Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes, y'all rigging stuff. Y'all know what y'all doing. And I'm going to tell somebody on you if you keep it up. Listen now, 3 Super Bowls in a row.
The dude's a beast, though.
He's a beast. Yeah, man.
He's cool. Which leads to my final question when it comes to football. We're gonna jump off this real quick. Loaf, we talked a little bit about your football history. Growing up with a professional football player as a dad. We talked about your time in college. You went to USC at a time where you guys won 2 national championships. You came to the Seattle Seahawks. Had a great career here. Played with incredible players. And I'm going to ask both of you guys this, true, so you'll get a chance to think about it. Who is the best football player that you have either played against or with? somebody that you look at and be like, dang. Like, if I was playing against him, I had to bring it every play, or he was just, I sat on the sideline sometimes and just watched this dude like, damn, that boy can go.
There were so many. I don't think I can look past Walter Jones.
Oh.
And not just because he was my teammate. He's the greatest left tackle that ever played this game.
Absolutely.
And just how easily everything, how natural. Like, even sometimes it's just, hey, that D end is a non-factor.
Yeah.
Like, you said that for a decade. That's how good he was.
Yeah.
Even one of our former teammates, Patrick Kearney, I think he lit up the stat sheet every time, even when he played against some other Hall of Famers. You know, he's a 3 or 4 time All-Pro Pro Bowler himself. He said it was one of the hardest days he ever had. And for Pat to say that, then you know, man, because Pat was always prepared. But talking about a guy who's 300 pounds and ran a 4.6 40.
Whew.
He could have played tight end. He could have played any other position on the line. I mean, and he could have played D-line. Like, it was just how natural.
And that's not just 300. He's massive, like tall, 6'5", long arms.
Yeah. Oh, everything. And there's the footwork is what I marveled at. It's like, even when a guy did have him, like a all Hall of Famer he was going against had him, like the way he could correct and, regain his balance and what would have ultimately been a sack, forced fumble for everybody, for that guy, was just, I got blocked again.
Yeah.
Like, that guy was insane. And you better bring it. And he could outrun you. That was like the annoying part. It's like,
just big
he's not just going to push you down and
Yeah.
Push you away. I'll outrun you to the
We
sport.
ran a lot of toss back then with Sean, and they just ran behind him and Hutch. And so, all right, if you're lucky enough to get by Hutch, and which I'm just running laterally anyways, but then you get to Walt, and it's just you, him, and Sean. You can't be right. Like, I tried to give him the jab, cut back, and he was like, oh, where you going? Like, you sit right here, and then there goes Sean. But, it was incredible to compete against and then with on game day, but it made us all better. But that was the best football player I ever seen.
That's dope. The best to ever do it, as we call him, the best to ever do it, for sure. True.
Yeah, man, I'm the same way. There's so many guys you play against, even some of the guys that don't have the popularity or the biggest name, man, guys that come to work every day and are just looking to make it happen. But playing against like guys like Randy Moss, I just seen a picture out there, man, and when the practice week is so tough and you get to the game day and you're like, okay, this is a little easier, you know that the fear of a player is all the way around the building, right? Because the coaching staff was petrified, right? Well, so just that practice week, and this is old school Moss with like the Dante Culpepper drop back and just let it fly, right?
Yeah.
And you never wanted to be the guy on SportsCenter. That was our social media back then.
You got mossed.
You didn't want to be that guy that's getting mossed, right? So playing against a guy like Randy Moss, I say it all the time. I go out and I speak to kids and they ask those questions like, who was the hardest receiver you played against? I played against a bunch of guys that are really good and that of course, are in the Hall of Fame and stuff like that. But going against Randy Moss was a different type of experience, a different type of beast, a big guy that can move like a little guy in small spaces and really make it happen, have really good hands, and was a tough guy too. So, and he was a big guy, right?
Big,
5'6",
6'5",
probably,
yeah.
right? Yeah, a tall dude. And I'm not the tallest guy, man. I call myself 6 foot with shoes, right? But just the type of mental and physical energy it took that entire week to get ready for Moss was a different type of beast. And usually, like, I talk about the guys that were in St. Louis at the time, the greatest show on turf. Trying to prepare for Torrey Holt and Isaac Bruce was another type of situation, right? A lot of respect for those guys, man. They made that Sunday tough. They made that week tough, but it was all respect. I remember after the game, they used to come up to me and they used to give me my props. And of course, as a young player, that did a lot for me, right? Yeah. So it just gave me that confidence to push forward. But going against a guy like Moss, man, it was super dope. But tough as hell,
You
man.
remember when Randy Moss went to the Raiders and they're like,
Yep.
don't worry, he doesn't have it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And Monday night we played them. I think we won. We shut them out, but all attention was to Randy Moss. So Cloud.
Yep,
His
everything.
side,
Yep.
yeah.
But there was a couple where I got middle run through cover 2 on him. There was one time I look over, he's in the slot, and I was like, oh, no.
Da-da-da, da-da-da. Right.
He took off and in like 2 strides was at my level. I just turned around. It was play action. I was like, I don't even care if they hand it off. I'm going middle. And he's running by me, looking back to the quarterback, like smiling, like just throw it. And I was like, don't throw it. Like he probably had 3 or 4 yards separation. And I'm looking at the goalpost because that's where it's going. And he's looking back at the quarterback, like, throw me the ball. And thank God pressure got there.
Amen. Like you said earlier, the best
coverage
is
is a sack.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. I was talking to somebody last week, and they were talking about, what it takes to make a certain level. And again, I only played college football, Pac-10, UW, but I always said this.
Go Cougs.
Go Dogs. Anyways, I always do say go Dogs, but I did always say this on USC.
I came prepared.
Y'all had to come represent.
Let me get that on Marcus' camera.
He got that.
Yeah,
Drew got his Cougar bracelet
I already
on.
knew.
Oh, yeah.
I knew what time it was.
I got no Husky gear. Y'all didn't even tell me.
The old
I feel
crimson
like I'm
on there.
ganged up on, yeah. But no, what I always said is, to make it to a certain level, to that level especially, everybody's good. And when you get to the NFL, of course everybody's good. So when I always hear people out there talking, like, oh, so-and-so's garbage or so-and-so something, bruh, are you kidding me? The stuff that this person had to do to get to this level, that's elite, like elite. So, but I've always said this. I said, everybody at that level is good. But then there are freaks. And these guys you just talked about are freaks. Like they're next level to the top level. And guys like Lofa, who is next level, and guys like True, who is next level, look at these guys like Randy Moss is a freak. And Walter Jones is a
levels
freak.
to this shit.
There's levels.
Levels to it, for real, yeah.
Everything, man.
Yeah. Before we get out of here, man, I want to talk to you now about what Lofa Tatupu is doing now. Again, storied NFL career, All-Pro, Pro Bowler. What's going on in your world right now?
Yeah, the most important thing is just my boys, So family is everything. And got a 13-year-old and a 10-year-old, trying to get them into sports. The oldest finally, he found a clique of friends and they want to play sports. So that's been exciting. And the youngest, got to get him into something. But they're teaching me a lot about life that I probably had blinders on, right? I was just so sports focused and centric that I don't think I really ever developed in any of those areas, whether it's art, music. And so that is really the thing that I geek out the most about, right? Just spending time with them, coaching some of their teams, and just imparting the wisdom that we went through and the life lessons. Hey, team first, all the things that are going to take them to the next level. And as long as they put in the work, right? The work is everything. So that's really my focus right now. And some other, ventures going on and stuff, but
are you trying to be tight-lipped about your ventures? I know. Yeah, I know.
You asked me what I really focus on. That's really, but
Lofa gonna come on my show and you asked me what I'm focused on. I told
Pretty
you.
much back up to you, or I'm gonna come across your mic.
I don't want no problems. I don't want no problems.
But yeah, that's what it's about for me. I really, not to get too deep here, but my dad passed at 54. If I'm lucky, I have 12 more years. Right? That can go by like that. It's the reason I stepped away from coaching. I love coaching. I loved every part of it. But I missed their 3rd and 4th and 6th and 7th birthdays because of the coaching schedule. And so just putting things in perspective about what is important, because you only have so much time on this earth, right?
Yeah.
And but that they'll listen to you, right? And so that's really just developing them, not just in sports, but as human beings, and just, giving back and being grateful for the moment.
Yeah. So I would agree. The outside of sports and athletics and football, one thing that we all have in common is we're all dads. And I know True, you've probably learned some really great lessons becoming a dad. As you grew up in a house like me, full of boys.
Right.
Now you grew up raising a bunch of girls. Talk about what that's like for you, since we got a little bit about Lofa's insight when it comes to being a dad and how that transition took place in his life. What about you?
I share a lot of those same things, man. That is why I chose not to do coaching as I transitioned away from the NFL, right? Just because I knew the time commitment. And in most situations, the coach is spending more time at the facility, a lot more time than the players are, right? So I knew what that looked like. And I'm a football player type, right? Coaching and like really getting into the details, that has never really been my thing like that. But I love the game. I like the physical part of it. I just like all that part. But when it comes to my kids and where they're at, I'm exactly like Lofa. I want to be there for their for the dance recitals, for the cheerleading meets, for the soccer tournaments and stuff. Now, does it drive me crazy because I got 4 girls and 1 boy? Yes, but that's a part of the game, right? And I want them to look back just like I could look back at my parents and be like, yeah, my mom and dad, they used to take us everywhere. I know it was crazy, but they followed. Of course, it was me and my 2 younger brothers, and they were at everything. I don't care if it was student of the month. I don't care if it was a championship basketball game, if it was getting us to practice and workouts and all that kind of stuff. And even when we got in trouble, they were there too. So always having somebody there to support you, I think, pushed me to be the type of man that I am today. So I want to give that back to my kids, and I hope that cycle just keeps going, right? So, yeah, man, it's just the time. And like Lofa said, you don't have a lot of time, so you got to make the most of it. And it's what people have always said to us in sports. You got to make the most of your opportunity when it's presented, man. You got to show up when the lights is on. So that's what I'm trying to do as a dad.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. I'm going on record and saying I appreciate both of you guys for not only being this incredible sports figures that you were here in the city and across the country, really, but the fathers that you become, the men that you become, and the pillars in our community that you become. People look up to you guys, not only just because you're great athletes, but of course, because you're just great humans. And again, I'm proud. I can call both of you guys my friends, man. We didn't mean to get all emotional.
It's getting sentimental up here.
We brothers. We brothers. On the football field, man. Wait a minute. Somebody come over here and hit me one time. No. But again, thank you, man. Thank you, Lofa, for joining us here on our first show back. This is real special to us, man. Hopefully you come back. We're going to stay tapped in with you with everything that you're doing. Thank you.
No, honor to be here. Appreciate all y'all watching. We're brothers.
We're brothers for life, man. Appreciate y'all, man. And again, make sure you stay tapped into the Barbershop Show. Follow us on all social medias and be on the lookout for that next show coming to you soon.